Hello there, this Chuck with Pocket Snakes. So the camera cut out again. I've changed the settings a little bit. Hopefully it will be better. So I added some golf grip adhesive to the body down here, which will anchor all these strands as I go over it. I might add it a little bit much, but that first 2 inches you really want to be kind of stiffer anyway. Anyway, we're plating at 32 plate here, and the only thing that's bad with having it a little bit sticky while it's going around is that, well, it's sticky, so it catches your fingers and it catches the string. But in general, I'm in hopes that this solves the problem. It'd be nice to be able to edit a full video instead of a whole bunch of little tiny segments of videos that I have to export. So, plus it looks like the preview mode works, which is interesting because I've never watched it live and previewed it while I was recording. It's a GoPro 11 Mini. It's a fun camera because I can put it right next to the whip. It's got a wide enough angle that I'm never exactly out of frame, which is a good thing. But I only have to plate about 4 inches of 32 plate and pretty much standard whipmaker plate. So under 8 over 8 on each side. I think I got the math there right. And $275 Paracord's a really nice material because it allows you to do things because the material's thinner, or width-wise is thinner. Thickness is about the same as 550. But you have a lot more strands. You can create a lot more smoothness when you add or remove things. In this case, this is an additive build, so I'm constantly adding 4 new strands, at least until I get up to 32. And 32 is just about right here. I could probably make it 36 strands and have the angle a little more shallow. But down here where you're using it as a handle, it's nice when it has a little more compaction to the core. So I happen to like it when the angle shifts a little bit wide because it creates a little greater compression. But I do things my way, and once in a while I change my way and come up with new ways of doing things. I do these videos mostly because they're a nice resource for anybody learning who might be interested in the topic of braiding or braiding whips. And I do almost all my videos, I wouldn't say straight unedited, but a lot of my videos are just, I set up a camera, turn it on, and then I sit and work and record, talk to myself or talk to my audience, I guess. To the outsiders, it looks like I'm talking to myself for a few hours. I can only do this when the house is quiet, and I'm not likely to get interrupted, because talking while there's background noise drives me crazy. I don't like the TV set on even in the other room, so I tend to do these videos in spurts where there's peace and quiet. Oops. I see a problem where I got 2 strands, so I'm going to unbraid it. Where I accidentally picked up 2 on the left side because I don't want a problem. This is one of the reasons I do the videos in the way that I do them, is there's 2 strands here. I should have only went under 1. So, and I think it's also good for people to see when you make mistakes that it's okay. You just back it up and go forward again once you back it up to where the mistake was. I'm always trying to learn where I made the mistake. In this case, I made the mistake because I'm not paying enough attention, because it's the end of the day and I've got a limited amount of time to set and braid on this before the rest of the family gets back. And then the TV will go on and I won't be shooting video. I don't have to have the video camera running, but you guys seem to enjoy the videos, so I try and here's where I made the mistake, because there's 2 right there, and I needed to come under one of those and over one of those. And if you want to check if you're correct with something, once you split the pairs, once you split the thing, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so that means there's 8 above and 8 below. Anyway, honestly, I'm pretty impressed that there's a few diehard people that like watching the full-length 2 hours that it has taken me to put the overlay on this whip. I try and talk about useful things as I go, although I'm not sure how useful they are. Depends on the day, and this is almost, this is definitely unscripted. This is almost just me in my natural state of stream of consciousness. So, I'm constantly thinking, and my brain typically won't shut up for the entire day. So this brings me a lot of peace. I find it soothing to braid. And it's one of the few times where my brain is busy enough with what I'm doing that it doesn't go wandering off to other things that I should be doing too at the same time as I'm doing this. For instance, I need to make another 4 whips here in the next couple days to meet my own timeline. And I've been stuck on this whip for a couple days, 3 days. And then just posting the videos. I was shooting at 4K and 60 frames a second, and I had a bunch of stabilization turned on the camera, and that was causing the processor and the camera to overheat. And so I watched a few videos on overheating cameras, and they were like, oh, well, don't run it at 60 frames per second with full stabilization unless you need full stabilization. And since the camera's pretty rock solid on its mount right now, and I'm not going down the side of a mountain, hopefully, I don't need all the stabilization. So and I'm running 30 frames a second at 4K. This happens to be shot currently instead of in like full wide view mode. It's shot in what's called linear mode on the camera. I've been pretty impressed with this little camera, and I've kind of enjoyed the breaks every 23 minutes to an hour, because it'll run for 20 some minutes, and then it gets too warm or something happens and it clunks off, and it's hot to the touch. So I called it overheating. I wasn't sure quite what it was. I added a couple copper heat sinks to the back of the camera. That seemed to give me more than the 10 or 15 minutes I had before. But anyway, I don't know what projects or what questions you guys might want to ask. I tried streaming live at one point with the cell phone, but found it really distracting because when people would pop on and ask a question, I can either see the work I'm looking at, or I can look at the phone and have an interaction with a human being somewhere else on the planet. But when I'm braiding, it's hard to break my visual focus because I'm watching all these strands. Like this strand is connected up there, so you can watch it tuck down as I crank on it. And so trying to read the super chats or whatever they're called in a live stream with the cell phone, one of the reasons I got this camera was the wide angle lens, so I can not end up out of frame. Because again, you watch the back of a cell phone, which is great when you're shooting video, but if you don't notice that you've pulled the whip forward and out of the frame entirely, and you work for a couple hours getting the whip to a certain point, and then you discover you were shooting a beautiful picture of the wall, and the talking head and whip were completely out of frame. I don't know, the things I find funny are funny, I guess, or different. But when you're completely out of frame, it doesn't help anybody else who has questions or is interested in the whips. So I do have a Discord channel. I set that up for other whip makers that might want to ask questions. And the Discord channel's under Pocket Snakes. I don't know if I got it linked on my site. I've got it on my link tree. So if you go to qrtrk.us, which is my link tree sort of hub, / Pocket Snakes. I built that site a long time ago because I wanted to have all my social media and phone contact info and all that stuff. But that qrtrk.us / Pocket Snakes will take you right to the link tree, or tree of links. So you can find my Facebook, my Instagram, my Discord channel, my cell number, my the website. Should probably mention the Pocket Snakes website, but it's there. I haven't added my eBay, but my eBay handle is not Pocket Snakes. So everywhere else it's Pocket Snakes or Pocket Snakes webs. But Discord is kind of useful because then people can talk to each other, not just to me, because it allows for that. You can also have audio conversations or video chats or whatever. And I have a slightly upgraded Discord so you can share files or images. But I have never invited anybody on a video to go visit my Discord channel, which is kind of silly. Maybe I should put that in the description below. I don't know if I will or not. I care much more about braiding the whips than most things. Okay, I'm getting down to the end where I've just got another pass or so to do. I can't tell if that's 8 minutes or 18 minutes that I've been going on with this. I also purchased some sort of application to let me web stream using this thing. So I could do a live stream with like 2 points of view, theoretically. I'm not sure. Now all of these strands at this point will probably be underneath the build-up for the hilt. And so that might be useful to know. And at some point I have to remember to pull the back pin out of the belly that I braided. Or I'll find it later with my fingertips, which is about the worst way to find a needle in a haystack. It's with your fingertips or toes. It's kind of like dropping a razor blade. The world stops until you find it, and you hope you don't find it with your big toe. And I've dropped a lot of scalpel blades, and little scalpel blades are not the same as X-Acto blades, but probably similar. They're very sharp. But when scalpels hit the ground, a lot of times they'll shatter into several pieces that fly, and you hear them zinging around the room, and then you tread carefully barefoot. So I'm usually braiding barefoot on the concrete. So I had a brilliant idea a ways back, because obsidian is sharper than steel and scalpels, so got myself some snowflake obsidian, and I made myself some beautiful little chips, flakes, I think you would call them. Figured out how to flake some beautiful flakes of obsidian, because I was doing some work with leather, and I wanted a really sharp, like ceramic edge, better than a scalpel. And I've dropped enough scalpels and broken them. But let me tell you, if you drop a flake of obsidian and it hits the ground and it shatters, you can't find the pieces. And when I say you can't find the pieces, well, they're glass, and so they pretty much have no color. because they're so thin. Yes, obsidian's black, but they don't look like much of anything against the floor, which is dirt brown. Okay. And you can't pick up obsidian glass with magnets, so I went back to scalpels. It was a beautiful experience. I learned a lot. Besides how to find glass with my toes. That was one thing I figured out. I also figured out I didn't want to ever figure that out. So most of the things I've learned over the years, I've learned by making mistakes. So you try not to make the mistakes fatal, at least. Okay, I'm taking that pin out because I'm worried about. I'm going to try and tension this all the way through here as soon as I get to the black strand, because the back is not as tensioned. Of course, I haven't gotten to those strands, so that makes sense. Well, I hope you have a wonderful whip making experience. I hope you have just a ton of fun doing this. Hope everybody that does what I do enjoys it as much as I do, because if I didn't enjoy braiding so much or watching things that are in my head, designed in my head, come into the world, I wouldn't do this. I just enjoy it. Enjoy the whole process. I've got a pretty good amount of patience for it. Yeah, I shouldn't try pulling it with the hook of my finger. Okay. Trying to find the last strand that had fallen behind. Okay. Okay, so back to the black strand being on top. I got those two strands crossed right after I pulled it through, but it's off where I'm going to cut it off anyway. Okay. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. $15, $16. Okay, so there's all 16 strands on both sides. I'm going to take a needle and run it up through here. Now this whip will get cut off right about here because that's where the bump goes down. And I'm going to have to unbraid it. Well, shoot. So when you have to undo something, a little fit is your best friend. You can see, even though I'm not holding on to this, it's not coming undone rapidly, and that's because of the tape. So I don't know. I don't know how useful it is to show all the mistakes as I do stuff, but it should give you some hope that at least you don't have as many problems sometimes putting things together as I do. It's taken me like almost zero time to learn not to get too frustrated about it. Okay, it's that strand there. So I've got to, it's about 8 strands up. Only half of what I braided. I lost track and let one slip under. Or had to cross on one side. Like I said, this is the end of the day. I have other things I had to get done today besides this. And this is only a little 2.5 footer. The other ones I've got to do are 4. It's kind of a strand management nightmare to manage 32 strands when you're doing a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 foot whip. Especially with an 8 foot, then you're burritoing them up. Okay, so these 2 strands got crossed right there. And the result is they're crossed right there too. So it wasn't actually crossed. They're in the right lane. I just didn't tension them up and keep them straight as I did it. So I didn't actually make a braiding mistake except for not tensioning it into place. That's hilarious. I wonder if I had this one jump the shark too up here for the same reason. I bet I did. So like I said, the fit is your friend here. So if you have a strand that went funny, that one is 2 up from the black, and the black comes down here. So 2 up from the black is this strand. And voila, it tucks back into place. And 2 up from the black is this strand. And look, it fixed itself. Okay, I'm just going to tension all these up. So you don't need to pin it as much if you got this 3M or, in this case, golf grip adhesive. I haven't been able to find the original stuff that was 3M adhesive. But I've now got 100 foot of 2-inch wide or whatever it is tape. So I don't really need to seek for more. It is funny when you're dealing with something being constricted over a adhesive layer. And because I barred cemented the belly together, I can actually trim off a whole bunch of these feathers at the bottom so I don't get it all messed up. So that's probably my next step.